Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from
Hola,
Grinding
guapo.
Gear Games. Thanks for joining us today as we reveal Path of Exile's next expansion, Lake of Kalandra, which launches on PC and Mac on August 19th, and on Xbox and PlayStation on August 24th. Twitch drops are enabled for
Vale,
today's
los
live
drops,
stream,
¿vale?
so make sure you
Empiezan
follow
los
the
drops.
instructions below to link
No os
your
preocupéis
account
que
and earn
duran
your
horas,
Wrangler
¿vale?
wing.
Así que los que tengáis problemas, ahora cuando
Here's what
termine
you
lo
can expect
arreglamos.
from today's live stream.
¿Vale?
First, we'll debut the trailer for the Lake of Kalandra expansion.
Vale, el
and then
tráiler de
dive into
Kalandra.
its challenge league.
De Kalandra
We'll
Challenge
discuss the
League.
further improvements we're making to Path of Exile's endgame
Endgame
this
improvements.
release.
Ahí están las
There's a
mejoras en
slew
el
of new
endgame.
unique items for us to cover.
Nuevos
and also a broad
únicos.
power boost to many different uniques.
¿Vale?
We've got a
Rebalanceo de
selection of new
nuevos
skill and
de
support
únicos.
gems to reveal, and
Nuevas
we're excited
skills
to
y
unveil our plans
supports.
for revamping 3 past leagues.
3 ligas
Then we'll cover more
anteriores las
details
van
of the
a
game balance before
relanzar.
revealing this league's new supporter packs and
Balances,
what's going to happen in the lead up to
supporter
launch
pack.
next week. Our live stream ends with a
Back
Q&A
to
session
expect.
hosted
Vale,
by
que va a
Ziggy
salir
D.
a lo
You can
largo de
ask
la
me your
semana.
questions
Y luego
in
ya
Twitch
el
chat.
preguntas y
Then we'll
respuestas
post
con
the full
Ziggy D.
patch notes for you to check out.
Vale. Y
But
sacan el
before we
patch
show
notes
you
ahora
the trailer
después.
for Lake of Kalandra, I wanted to talk to you about ExileCon.
Ah,
Back
la
in
Exile.
2019,
Vale.
we were ready
Sí.
to announce Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile Mobile, and we wanted to do
Van a
it
hablar
right
de la
now. We
ExileCon.
filled a venue with thousands of Path of Exile fans from around the world and ran our first ExileCon convention. It was an amazing experience, full of fans interacting with developers, and
Por
everyone
favor,
who
que sea en
attended
Madrid,
can vouch for the
la
amazing
nueva.
energy at the event. Announcing Path of Exile 2 on that stage was one of the highlights of my life.
Grande, Chris.
Since then, we've been hard at work on Path of Exile 2. Now that
¿Han
we're
estado
getting
trabajando?
close to release, we will finally
Están
be
cerca
ready
de
to
lanzar el
announce the
PoE 2.
date that the closed beta starts at ExileCon 2023. We're
La
holding
beta
ExileCon
cerrada.
2023 in
El
Auckland,
29 y
New
23 de
Zealand, on the weekend
julio.
of the 29th and 30th
Amor,
of
pilla
July,
billetes. Corre.
2023.
Billetes,
In
mira
addition to
cuánto
the
va a
beta
costar. Ah, no,
start
no, aquí
date,
no.
We'll also be announcing
Ay, Dios
everything there
mío.
is to know about new game systems, character classes, items, and so on. Attendees will be able to play Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile Mobile.
Pero han anunciado
see
la
all the
fecha de la closed
presentations
beta.
live, meet our development team, hang out with our
Ay,
favorite
Dios.
streamers, and much more. The first wave of tickets will go on sale in 2 weeks. We'll make a news post tomorrow with more information so that you have time to determine if you're able to attend before the tickets go on sale. We are so excited to finally talk about what we've been working on and to let some of you experience the next generation of action RPGs. In the meantime, we have a strong
Pero
lineup of Path of Exile 1
no me he
expansions
enterado.
underway,
Lo van a
and today
contar,
we're proud to unveil Path of Exile Lake of Kalandra, which launches next week.
Vale, luego miraremos lo del PoE 2. Ahora vamos con Lake of Kalandra, el tráiler. Se viene. Se viene. Uf. Buah, el lago. ¡Es cinemática!
I've wandered far to arrive at the shores of my lake.
¿Cómo?
The
¿Cómo?
hidden realm I have overseen for longer than time itself.
¿Cómo?
These waters harbor deadly secrets.
Vale, tiene brechas, o sea, tiene las cosas de un mapa, pero es su mundo. Pero entonces esa señora es Kalandra. Hostia.
Rayclast is
¿Qué?
reflected here.
Mirror Table. Se va a poder craftear objetos mirror al final. Ah, no, se van a craftear los mapas estos. Vale, vale, vale. Tienen delirium, tienen todo. Guau, esa skill es nueva, lo he visto. What? What? Endgame Atlas Memories. 4 nuevas skills. 14 nuevos únicos. ¿Qué dices? 14. Ay, Dios mío. Arch Nemesis Rework, menos mal. Harvest Rework. Y Beyond. O sea, bueno, Beyond. Lo sabía lo de Harvest.
Calls you, exile. Will you endure? Or will you drown?
Ay, Dios mío. Ay, Dios mío. Ay, Dios mío. Reworkean Arch Nemesis. O sea que va a venir la liga de Arch Nemesis de vuelta.
In the Kalandra Challenge League, you will travel to the mirrored lake that granted Kalandra her powers of reflection.
Vale,
You'll need to
vamos a
experience
viajar
the
al
story
mundo de
yourself,
Kalandra.
so I'll avoid spoiling the details here. When you get to explore the league next week, you'll find out more about Kalandra and her motivations.
Vale, conoceremos más sobre Kalandra.
Your experience
Vale.
with Kalandra so far is probably of a coveted mirror, which duplicates items by reflecting them. The
Conocemos
lake
Kalandra
itself
por
has
los
the power
mirrors.
to reflect entire encounters from elsewhere in Rayclust. As you explore the lake, these reflections emerge from its mirrored surface.
Wow.
Sometimes these reflections are encounters with hordes of monsters. And sometimes you'll encounter extremely powerful foes, reflected
Vale,
from
a ver, o
elsewhere
sea,
in
que también
Rayclust.
será de mapeo y de bosses. Vale, eso me gusta.
Often, reflections involve league content,
Hostia.
such as this encounter with a Harbinger boss.
Hay algo. No, no me ha dado
As you
tiempo a
play
ver si
through
veo
the
un mirror
league,
sal.
you'll occasionally encounter a set of columns protruding from the ground, with a mirrored
Mirror
tablet on
table.
top. This
Vale,
tablet
vale, le
invites
puedes
you to
añadir
construct a
cosas.
custom set of encounters at the Lake of Kalandra, offering a series of different reflections to place in whatever layout you wish.
Vale, como que nos va a dar para
Each of these
construir un
reflections
mapa.
represents an encounter that you must defeat when you next travel to the lake.
Vale, solo te prepara para el siguiente
Once you have
viaje.
assigned a reflection to every
al
location
lago.
on your mirror tablet, which will take a few areas, you can open a portal to the Lake of Kalandra itself.
O sea, cuando ya lo hayas montado, abres el portal y entras. Vale.
There you will get to
Bien.
experience these reflections of Rayclust as Kalandra manifests each encounter you have chosen.
O sea, tú eliges cómo montar los mapas, prácticamente. Bueno, pero sin el
But
prácticamente.
as you push farther out onto the lake's shrouded waters, you will find each encounter to be more difficult, but more rewarding. This difficulty value counts up by 1 for
Contéis
each
3
location away
esencias,
from the entrance the
3
encounter is.
harbingers. Vale, entonces va a haber mucho rollo.
Players
O sea,
wanting the
muchos
best
tiers.
rewards will try to engineer tablets that have long, windy strings of encounters, reaching very high difficulty values by the end. To do this, there are occasional options that can be chosen
para
which
que
allow you
puedas
to move and
ordenarlos, porque al
swap the
final vas a
entrance,
moverte.
reflections, and water tiles on the tablet.
Wow. Vale, entiendo.
Additionally, as you progress through the league, you'll be able to unlock special abilities that let you manipulate the options you have available
Visit
on
por
each tablet.
Soul.
If you don't like any of the choices available to you, you
Ajá,
can
puedes
earn the
darle a
ability to
destruir.
skip picking one entirely.
Ah, mira, puedes skipear. Eso es. Vale, me gusta.
The next ability is even stronger. It lets
Me
you
gusta.
re-roll the list of options so that you can immediately pick another one. Finally, you can earn the ability to exile a choice entirely. For the rest of this tablet, that choice will no longer appear.
Qué guay. Vale, o sea, vas a
Once
poder
you reach
fabricarte
maps,
como
you'll be
tus
able to
propias
itemize your mirrored
instancias.
tablets so that they
Vale,
don't have to be
da la
played
sensación de que
immediately.
parece lenta, pero no lo es.
They can be
Porque al
stored
fin.
for later or traded with
Ah,
other
que te lo
players.
da como mapa. Hostia, ¿es tradeable?
As you visit the
Supongo
Lake
que
of
sí, ¿no?
Kalandra to attempt your mirrored tablets, there are many types of rewards you can find.
Balistas.
An encounter that is based on a past league implicitly grants the rewards from that league, but with extra juice so that you're not missing out on bonuses you'd have obtained if your Atlas tree applied to the lake.
Ah, que el Atlas afecta
Other
al
encounters
lago.
that aren't based on past
Ah,
leagues
o
generally
sea, si
yield reward
potenciamos
chests that
esencias,
rises
luego el
over
lago
the
le
lake when
afecta.
you complete
O he
the
leído
encounter.
mal.
Certain
O sea,
reflections
he escuchado
grant you
mal, mejor
access to a
dicho.
new variation on rare items, exclusive to the Kalandra Challenge League. When you complete
Vale,
the encounter,
objetos
you'll
únicos
get
de
access to
Kalandra.
some reflecting mist,
What?
which presents you with a difficult choice.
What?
It generates
Te
a
da-
rare ring or amulet with an unusual set of mods. Some are very high, and
Menos
some are very
51.
negative, which hurt your character.
Menos 50 de Energy Seed y
The
menos
item is
70
then
de Lightning
duplicated,
Resistance.
with a reflected copy having inverse mods.
Y
Negative
tiene los
ones are
mods
now positive
inversos.
and vice versa.
Y los dos están mirrored.
The amount that all of these mods are scaled up by is based on the difficulty of the encounter you just completed.
Vale, cuanto
You may
mejor sea la
only pick one
dificultad,
of these
mejores son
items
los
to keep.
objetos. Vale, interaccionamos con objetos mirrored.
It'll often be a tough choice, with each item having its own strong pros and cons. But sometimes you'll be offered an item where the negative mods aren't downsides for your build, and the juiced up positive mods are very attractive.
136 de vida.
There are also some special
136
new
de vida y
jewelry
más
base types that you can
105 de
rarely receive
fuerza.
from this process.
¿Cómo?
One rare and difficult encounter rewards you with an advanced version of this crafting process. It allows you to bring your own ring or amulet, distorting
Vale,
and
puedes
reflecting
llevar
it
tu
with the same
anillo
process described before.
Para
The
reflejarlo.
mods
¿Y
are
qué te lo
scaled up in
transforma en
value
qué?
and some are randomly negated.
Hostia,
The
algunas se
reflected copy
duplican.
has the inverse set of negations.
Ponía más 2
It will
Dual
certainly be
Fire.
tempting to gamble with some of your best jewelry to try to double the values that really matter for your build and negate the ones you don't care about. If you're very lucky, you may find a special League-exclusive unique ring at the lake. Kalandra's touch mirrors the effect of your other ring.
What?
The Kalandra Challenge League has something for
¿Cómo?
everyone. It's an out-of-area combat league where you build your own sequences of encounters. It lets you fully dictate your desired level of risk and reward and fully customize what content you play. It features a powerful crafting system, valuable rewards, and offers a glimpse into the lore of one of Path of Exile's most iconic characters.
O sea, puedes centrarte en craftear o en jugar por las recompensas. Mola. Vale, vamos a ver las mejoras del endgame.
Leading up to Path of Exile 2's release, we'll be improving Path of Exile's endgame with new content to explore and new ways to customize your endgame experience.
Vale, hemos visto lo del
LAKE of Kalandra expansion. We're introducing Atlas Memories.
Atlas Memories.
Feature. They're part of the core game, affecting standard and persisting once the Kalandra.
Esto va a afectar a estándar. Es core.
In maps, you'll very rarely find a memory item, which represents a set of memories that an NPC has about their past. Something special happened to them while exploring maps, and you're able to experience those events for yourself.
¿Cómo? Nos van a hacer como mecánicas super...
In this Atlas memory, Kirik tells you about the time that he stumbled across a staging ground for a Harbinger invasion of Rayclust. Each successive map you play in the sequence has more and more Harbinger portals and invaders that you must deal with.
O sea, cuantos más memorias hagas, más lo vas a hacer.
This is a memory of Nikos, where he entered a sequence of maps that were entirely consumed by permanent breaches, like a Breach Lord's domain. He survived to talk about it, but will you?
Harvest, se ve Harvest a lo lejos.
Right-click a memory and apply it to a completed map on your Atlas.
O sea, va a haber unas
series of adjacent maps that the Atlas memory will span.
O sea, tienes que ir haciendo los mapas en ese orden y cuando llegas al final tienes algo que es la hostia.
They'll tell you about their recollections and will allow you to start exploring the memory.
Ah, pero que Nikos quien maneja el cotarro.
By the NPC, and you'll be able to roll it like usual before running it. Because these maps are memories of the NPC, they are not affected by your Atlas tree. However, the content is generally as difficult and rewarding as a fully specialized Atlas tree would cause it to be.
Vale, esto no se ve afectado por el Atlas, parece ser. Pero esto no sé lo que es.
Each successive map in the sequence gets harder and more rewarding as the memories
intensify. Cada vez que haces tus mapas son más duros, hasta llegar como a la parte final de la memoria. Dios, un mapa solo lleno con bichos de bestias.
For players who love lore, Atlas memories help expand on the backstory of key NPCs. For players wanting to try out different League mechanics at quite high levels of juice that they haven't specialized their Atlas for, memories let them do this without a bunch of respecking. And for everyone else, Atlas memories are a great way to earn some valuable items, if you're strong enough to complete them.
Vale, básicamente... Wow.
The Lake of Kalandra expansion also contains a new unique map that I'm quite excited about. The Trial Master is back. This boss from
Ultimate,
and more importantly, the unique items he drops, have been sorely missed and will be making a return as the Tower of Ordeal's unique map in Lake of Kalandra.
Wow, la arena
this map
mola
can
que
be created by
flipas.
completing difficult endgame Val content. We have not forgotten about the rest of Ultimatum and have a specific plan for how it will return in the future.
O sea, meten al Trial Master, pero no
Whenever we're
Ultimatum.
improving Path of Exile's endgame, we take every
Vale.
opportunity we can
Vale.
to add new variations of rewards
Vale.
that you can find. We don't want to say too much about how these are acquired, but in this expansion, it's possible to very rarely find special foil versions of any pinnacle boss unique item.
¿Cómo?
These have the same stats as regular ones, but are certain to be highly prized by collectors or wealthy players wanting to show off.
Que se van a obtener de los Pinnacle Bosses las Watcher Tochas o ítems brilli
In
brilli.
addition to the Kalandra's touch
Nuevos
range that is
únicos, vale, vamos a
exclusive to the
verlos.
Kalandra Challenge League,
Vale,
we've
los
introduced
Super
a new
Pinnacle
endgame
Bosses van a tener
pinnacle
mejores
boss reward,
recompensas.
a
Eso
supporter
está bien.
unique, the Tower of Ordeal's unique map, 6 new Grand Spectrum jewels, and
Te
even
pueden
some
salir
leveling
random.
uniques.
Ah, vale, vale.
The first we're showing you
Los
today
guantes,
is
Soul
Ascension,
Ascension.
a pair of gloves
Soul
designed by
Eater.
Zizaran. They drop from
Vale.
the Uber Elder.
Uber
Soul Eater is a
Elder.
very powerful buff, but it is usually hard to obtain in boss fights. This unique grants you the
te
ability
da
to gain
Soul
stacks
Eater
of Soul
contra
Eater when you
bosses.
hit a unique enemy, but also makes you lose those stacks if you aren't near one.
Vale, solo
Ghost
para
Ride
bosses.
is a leveling unique which allows you to play as an almost pure energy shield character during early
Hostia,
parts of the campaign.
una armadura sin socket que te da un montón
We'll
de
reveal the other new
Chaos
unique items in this
Resist,
expansion over the next
Energy
week.
Shield. Hostia, Tabula 2. Tabula 2.
Path of Exile has a lot of unique items
qué
in its
chulo.
core drop pool. Over 700 in fact. We feel that there are two big problems with unique items.
Tabula
at the moment.
2, el
The
ítem
first is
del
that you
9
find
Link
too
y
many,
pa'lante.
and the second is that they are generally
Vale, vamos a ver si hay
useless when
algún
you do.
ítem tocho.
Sure,
único.
there are some powerful endgame or build enabling uniques that feel amazing to find, but the majority of unique items found throughout the game are rarely
Dice que la mayoría de
actually
los
useful
únicos
to you.
son pochos.
In the Lake of Kalandra expansion, we have made a lot of changes here.
Vale, han hecho muchos cambios, a ver si hay alguno muy chulo.
We have reduced the overall drop rate of uniques throughout the game and have rebalanced and overhauled
Está el de
over 100
golems.
existing unique items, with an emphasis on uniques in
No
the
termino
core
de
drop
ver.
pool,
Vale, vale, todo lo que
including
son ahí son
level
ítems
uniques and some
pochos.
endgame uniques.
Bien, bien, bien.
You're going to find unique items less frequently now, but when you do, they're going to be a lot more punchy.
Vale, pero todos estos van a salir menos,
Nectar's lantern has been completely changed from the ground up.
La linterna. Ahora
Previously,
tiene
it was
Battle
trying to
Mage.
allow you to play a hybrid attacker and spellcaster, but it didn't really work very well. With the new design, it's a lot more elegant and delivers on this goal by simply granting high
Vale, tiene
damage
Battle
and
Mage.
the
El Battle Mage es muy
effect,
tocho.
so that your weapon damage
Tiene
is
daño
added
de
to your
fuego y
spells.
físico. Eso es para las builds que van a ese tipo. Bueno, supongo
Bells
no
of
se
Ribbons
jugaba
is an
antes.
example of an item where we merely needed to tweak values on the existing mods to make it a lot better. We want mod value rolls to matter more, and this
Vale,
item
se le han
now
duplicado
showcases
los
that well.
números. Vale, vale. Esto es lo que os dije,
If
que
you
había
find a
algunos
high roll
únicos
one
que
early
solo
on, you're
necesitan
probably not
duplicarles
replacing it for a
números.
long time.
Vale.
Malachi's Simula was trying to deliver the Blood Mage fantasy by allowing you to spend life to cast your spells. This
Spells
was meant
have
to be special because the
20%
Blood
chance to
Magic
deal double
keystone was
damage.
far away from the witch starting location on the
Y
skill
la
tree.
Blood Magic, o sea, las
Unfortunately,
habilidades
this
que
item
estén
wasn't
dentro
really
consumen
powerful enough
vida.
to justify its use.
Pero no pones
It has
socketed
now been
spells.
overhauled, and alongside Blood Magic, it grants a powerful
Muchísimo mejor que
multiplicative
antes. Joder, de
damage boost.
20% de spell damage a 20% de hacer doble daño. Hostia.
With over 100 uniques rebalanced in this way, your play experience is now punctuated by quite large bursts of power when you find one. We'll continue to examine the power level and rarity of more unique items in subsequent expansions.
No entendí eso. Como que van a
The
caer
Lake of
más
Kalandra expansion
durante el
includes
leveo.
3 new skill
Me
gems
parecería
and
bien.
1 new support gem.
Vale, las nuevas gemas. Las nuevas gemas. A ver,
Alchemist's Mark is a new mark
Alchemist's
skill.
Mark, una
Igniting or
marca.
poisoning the marked target creates burning or caustic ground underneath them, based on the damage of the strongest ignite or poison on the enemy. The damage of the ground effects also scales with curse and
vale,
mark
es
effect,
una que
providing a
marcas,
non-standard way to
golpeas a
scale
un
your
bicho
build's
y hace
damage.
más daño según el
Hitting
damage
the marked
overtime que
target
tú le
also
pongas.
refills some of your flask charges. This new skill
Hostia.
opens up an extra source of damage for
Como una
ignite or
especie de
poison
mark,
focused
pero para
characters,
damage overtime.
especially
Mola.
for ignite builds that
Me
want an
gusta.
alternative to flame surge, or poison builds that cause fewer, higher damage poisons. This high-level build uses Flame Blast, with 100% of the damage converted to Chaos, to inflict huge poisons on enemies. When Alchemist's Mark is cast on an enemy first, that enemy drops caustic ground when it's poisoned, scaled by those big
Hostia.
Flame Blast poison hits,
Qué guapo
melting
eso.
everything into a puddle.
Eso está guapo.
Galvanic Field is a new shock-themed spell. When
Galvanic
used, you gain
Field.
a buff, granting a small bonus chance to shock. When you next shock an enemy, the buff is consumed and the enemy becomes energized, repeatedly zapping themselves and nearby targets.
O sea,
a
como una
lot like
especie de
ball
arc.
lightning.
Pero cuando soqueas.
If the energized enemy dies,
esta no me
then
gusta,
the energy
la verdad.
sits at their location and continues to zap things.
Eso no me
Galvanic
gusta.
Field's
de
area of
momento.
effect and zap damage scale with the strength of the shock on the target.
O sea, aumenta el
While
daño
Galvanic
según la
Field is
cantidad de
great for any
shock.
build that
Vale.
shocks, you
Supongo
can
una
even
habilidad
fully build
support
around
para
it,
las
and
habilidades
use
de
a skill
Lightning que
with
están un
increased shock
poco
effectiveness,
pochas
like
comparadas
Arc,
con las de
to
Cole.
shock enemies and kill
No
them
lo
with
sé,
a ball of death.
habrá que ver. Pero no me gusta visualmente.
Lightning Conduit is another new shock-themed spell. A wave propagates out from the target location, causing lightning bolts to strike all shocked enemies in a
Ah,
large
golpea a
area.
los enemigos soqueados desde el cielo.
The damage is scaled by the strength of the shock on each enemy. Lightning Conduit cannot itself shock and won't hit non-shocked enemies at all, so the challenge with this skill is to find a way to consistently apply powerful shocks to your targets, to make the most of Lightning Conduit's high damage potential and area of effect.
O sea, hay que meterle mucho shock.
This high-level
Vale, el
build
shock
uses
no va a
Wave
estar
of
tocho.
Conviction to shock enemies, before casting Lightning Conduit until they're obliterated. For longer fights, it can
Uf, no me
employ
gustan las
Galvanic
skills
Field
que hay
to
que
create a
pulsar dos
constant source
veces.
of lightning
No me
damage.
gustan nada las skills que hay que pulsar dos veces. Pero parece que
Last
pega
but not
fuerte.
least, Overcharge Support is a new
Overcharged
support gem that
support.
causes supported skills to deal less damage, but makes them inflict much stronger shocks and grants them a higher chance to shock.
Vale.
Overcharge lets
Bueno,
many different
¿por qué?
lightning skills
Porque es
create
todas las
powerful
gemas que
shocks.
sacan son de Lightning.
Use this
No
to take
entiendo.
advantage of Shock's large
¿Dónde
damage
está el melee?
multiplier, or to activate Lightning Conduit and Galvanic Field.
Vale.
As
Bueno.
Path of Exile expands, we often revisit previous
Pero
leagues,
son 4, ¿no
reworking
habían
them
dicho
so they stay
12?
relevant and engaging. In Lake of Kalandra, we are
F.
targeting 3 such leagues.
Vale,
Arch-Nemesis,
vamos a ver el
Beyond, and
Rework
Harvest.
Arch-Nemesis.
The larger context here is that we've been re-examining what role rare and magic monsters have in Path of Exile. The introduction of Arch-Nemesis modifiers as the monster mod pool prompted quite a lot of discussion about how often you should encounter rare
Vale,
and
que ha
magic
causado
monsters,
mucha discusión
how
que haya
difficult
metido
they should be to
Arch-Nemesis
kill,
como en el
and
core
how
de los
rewarding
raros.
their death should be. Previously, League content made fights hard by spawning a lot of rare monsters. A
Dios,
whole
Dios,
lot.
Dios, me acuerdo de
In
esto.
some cases,
Esto era
6
una
to 8
locura.
times the normal rate of rare monsters.
Wow. Que era muy
Now that we
bestia,
have better mods available to make fights against rare monsters individually challenging, we have gone through the whole game and normalized the rate that rare monsters are spawned at. Some leagues had quite large reductions in spawn rate. You won't encounter situations with dozens of rare monsters on screen at once anymore. Alongside this reduction of how many rare monsters you'll face, we have improved their rewards and made sure that they scale with both difficulty of the encounter and any item rarity or
sea, va a
quantity
haber menos
bonuses that
rares,
you have.
pero
During the
con mayor
campaign, you'll
recompensa.
only encounter 1 and 2 mod rare monsters. The 2 mod encounters are a bit harder and have better drops.
Un caos y una alteration.
In maps, you'll stop encountering 1 mod rare monsters entirely, and will mostly encounter 2 and 3 mod rare monsters. It'll also be possible to encounter 4 mod rare monsters again. Not only are the innate item drop bonuses scaled up significantly on monsters with many mods,
Al que
but we
se
have made
supone
these
que dan
challenging
mucho loot,
encounters
pero...
rewarding in another way too.
¿Por qué estoy viviendo un déjà vu?
About a third of the more powerful arch-nemesis modifiers
¿Por qué
now
estoy
use a
viviendo un
special
déjà vu?
reward conversion system. For example, if you defeat a monster with a corruptor mod, all of its drops become corrupted. The Solaris Touched mod converts all of its item
Spark.
drops to maps.
O sea, que le han metido
The
las
Katana Touch mod will
recompensas
cause
de
the rarity of its
arch-nemesis
drops to be
a los
upgraded
bichos.
by 1 tier, so magic becomes rare, rare becomes unique, and so on.
O sea, vale, se nota que ahora tienen
If you're
mucha más
lucky, you can
recompensa.
find these conversion modifiers on both the 3rd and 4th mod of a rare monster. This causes them to stack together. So if you kill a 4 mod rare monster with both the Entangler and Katana
Pero bueno,
Touch
priores
mods
son
on it,
raros,
its
a
heavily
priori.
juiced drops will also be converted to jewels with their rarity upgraded by a tier. Due to the high amount of inherent item rarity that 4 mod rare monsters have, this may result in several unique jewels dropping.
O sea, van a seguir las combinaciones de arch-nemesis.
This conversion system is fully compatible with your item rarity and quantity bonuses, as well as the drop bonuses from all other Arch-Nemesis mods.
O sea, que
Going
los mods
forward,
arch-nemesis
we want
van a
to make sure
dropear
that a
más en
lot
base a
more
la
item
quantity y la
reward
rarity.
mechanics scale with your character
En
item
vez de como
bonuses.
antiguamente
Get your
hacía
magic find
arch-nemesis que no lo
characters ready.
tenían en cuenta.
As a result of this system, when you do encounter a rare monster with many Arch-Nemesis mods, you are well rewarded for the difficult fight.
Habrá que ver en la
We've also been
práctica, pero me da a mí que
listening to feedback
la
about the
cosa
Arch-Nemesis
no...
mods
El
that
problema
can spawn
nunca ha
on
sido la
magic monsters.
recompensa.
Too many of them
El
had
problema
external
nunca ha sido la
visual clarity
recompensa.
issues like on-death effects.
Con los
We have
rares.
toned these down on magic
A
monsters
la
so
gente
that
se
more
la
of them
suda que te
stat-based
tiren una
bonuses that
recompensa,
aren't
¿o
so
no?
spammy. Encounters that spawn a series
La
of
que a la
magic
gente
monsters
no le
now
gusta
make sure
es
to
en un
preserve
mapa
the same
pararse
Arch-Nemesis
a la
modifiers
mitad a
between the
tener una
monsters
pelea
rather than rolling
eterna
a
con un
different mod
rare.
for each monster. This will further help keep the game state understandable in hectic situations.
Esto no me gusta.
Beyond was introduced
Vale,
in
vamos a
August
ver el rework. Dejan el
2014,
rework de
initially
Harvest
as a
para el final.
hardcore-only challenge league. It's 8 years old now and certainly has several issues. Firstly, the art.
Eso es
Have you
Spectral
ever really
Helix.
taken a close look at a Beyond demon? It is literally a bandit from Act 2, dunked in red paint.
¿Qué le van a hacer?
The second issue is its balance. The number of magic and rare monsters spawned is so much higher than the rest of the game, and whatever problems that resulted in before are magnified now that rare monsters are meant to be more difficult. Beyond also spawns way too many unique bosses, which causes its own set of issues. In Lake of Kalandra, we have given Beyond much more than a fresh coat of paint. The Scourge have taken over the realm of the Beyond demons. The old bandit Beyond demons
Va a
are gone.
aparecerse as codes
Summoning
ahora,
monsters from
digo.
Beyond will now summon Scourge monsters and bosses.
Vale, le han
We've
cambiado el
completely
diseño de los
rebalanced the
bichos a
rate
los
that
bichos de
Beyond
Scourge.
monsters and bosses spawn at, so that it's
Mucho mejor,
appropriate
la
for
verdad.
modern Path of Exile. The new
Mucho
Beyond
mejor.
monsters can now occasionally drop the Scourge League's tainted currency items that allow you to
Pueden
modify
dropear
crafted
Current
items.
Taunted. Vale, bien, bien. Vale, me gusta, me gusta.
Completely
Me
revamped how
gusta.
harvest crafting works.
Vale, vamos a ver qué le hacen a
Rather than
Harvest.
being
Por
presented with a
favor.
selection of crafting
Por
options
favor.
that must be used immediately, you now receive itemized tradable life force of the appropriate color.
Vale, se va a tradear. Ah, no. ¿Qué?
This life force can be used later, in your own time, at the Hoarder crafting bench in your hideout. Its crafting options are now priced in terms of this itemized life force currency.
¿Cómo?
Tier
No,
four
no,
bosses
no, no,
are
no,
now
no. Dime que no es
encountered
así.
much more frequently.
Dime
You
que
can
no es
drop a
como
key to
creo.
fight a
O sea,
shark.
vas a dropear
Yields
Life
special
Force y
life
luego vas
force
a poder
can be used for
craftear
a
con
specific
Harvest como
set
te
of
dé la gana con
crafts.
ella. ¿O estoy entendiendo
We
mal?
have rebalanced all harvest crafts for the new system and have removed a bunch of filler crafts and some ones with deterministic outcomes that were incredibly RNG gated before.
Sí, están todos. Están
Some
todos.
crafts that provided
Están
access to
todos los
exclusive
crafts.
content, like the special
¡Hala,
offerings to
hala,
the goddess,
hala, hala!
have been removed because these items can now be found in more appropriate locations elsewhere in the game. The result of these changes is that when you complete a harvest, you aren't presented with 30 crafts, which must either be used immediately or unsafely traded to some player you found in a community Discord server. It also means that every bit of life force you receive is going towards a craft that you actually want to use on one of your items, when you're ready to use it.
Ahora, como te dropean lo que viene siendo el liquidito, lo que te dropea el liquidito literalmente ni siquiera hay que farmear crafteos. Es que te farmeas lo que te dé la gana.
We have also addressed the monster composition of Harvest's fights, so that it doesn't contain too many rare monster mods, and so that it is of appropriate difficulty
no
for
tantos
its
rares.
rewards.
Bien, bien, bien.
In addition, the rewards for Harvest now scale with map quantity and pack size,
Vale,
incentivizing you
entonces
to
cuanto
juice
más
your
tocho
maps.
sea el mapa, mejor será el drop de Harvest.
Previously,
Esto se lo han sacado con el
were not scaled up at all
rework. Se lo han
if you played
sacado
a
con el
harder map.
rework. Joder, esto es lo que Harvest tendría que haber sido siempre.
Last
Qué
week, we
bonito.
posted this expansion's character balance manifesto, which detailed the many changes we're making in Lake of Kalandra.
Vale. Que han
There
sacado
are
la
plenty
semana
more
pasada el
changes, which we will
manifiesto.
include in the full patch notes that will be posted after this live
El
stream.
rework al Trickster se viene.
But on this stream, I'd like to talk about a few specific areas.
Vale, que
Minion
quieren
itemization,
hablar de dos cosas.
exalted and divine orbs,
Los ítems
and
de
the trickster
minions.
ascendancy class.
Otra cosa y el Trickster.
Historically, minion builds have not been particularly reliant on the stats of their items. Most of the power of their minions came from the
Van a
skill and
explicar el
support
porqué
gems.
del rework del
This led
tema
to
de
a
los
few
minions.
problems.
Quieren que los
Firstly, it
minions,
gave them a bit of
tus
a free
minions
ride
son
compared to
fuertes,
most other character
sea porque
builds.
tengas buenos
But
ítems.
secondly, it meant that it was
Antiguamente no
hard
es
for
así.
minion players to actually specialize their character to be really, really good. We
O
want
sea,
to
tú
solve
te
both of
ponías
these
full
problems in
tanque
this expansion.
y tal, solo
Path of
subías el
Exile is
nivel
a
de la
game about
gema,
items,
4 chorradas
and that
más,
means that you will
y
now be
tus bichos
strongly
eran
rewarded for
dioses.
finding items that make your minions better. It also means that, like with other builds, if you find good items, you'll be far more damaging and survivable than before.
Y más
We described
supervivencia.
a variety
Quiero
of
ver
minion
cómo
changes in last week's character
crafteando
balance
mejores
manifesto.
ítems de
Today I
minions
want to show you
afecta
the
tu
new base item
supervivencia.
types we've
Eso es lo
added
que
to
yo
help
quiero
your
ver.
minion itemization. We've added a new ring-based
Bone
type, the
ring.
Bone Ring.
Increase
This ring has
damas,
implicit
movement
minion
speed.
elemental resistances and can roll
¿Es
minion-related
doble?
modifiers.
3, 4, 5. Sí, es doble. Minion damas y minion movement speed. Buah,
We've
es
added
buen
level
mod,
20 and 50 versions of the Convoking Wand, called the Calling Wand and Covening Wand respectively.
Calen Wand, vale.
Like the
Minion
Convoking
critical
Wand, these
strike
new base
chance.
types can roll minion-related modifiers.
Vale, es doble. Creo que
Some new
parece que es doble,
minion-related
no lo
mods
tengo
have
muy
been
claro.
added to the pool available for these ones,
Han
and some
puesto
existing
varitas de
mods have
minions
been
para que tú
adjusted or
desde
made more
actos
common.
pues puedas ir teniendo cosas de minions, ¿no?
We have repurposed the bone
Más
themed
uno al
spirit
minions en
shields so
escudo.
that they have
Os
minion
lo dije.
damage implicit mods
Os lo
rather than
dije.
spell damage, and can also roll minion-related mods.
Y Minion Life. Buah, esto va a ser tocho. Porque esto no solo afecta a las build de Minion, también a las build de cuerpos.
Alongside the stable
Algunas.
of existing unique
O sea, las que
items,
explotan
there's now
bichos.
quite a
digo.
lot more base type support for minion characters, and good mods on those base types can stack up to some pretty large bonuses for your minions. I also wanted to discuss two of the rarest currency items in Path of
Vale,
Exile,
reworkean el
Divine Orbs
Exalted
and
y el-
Exalted
¿de quién?
Orbs. These actually have the same drop rate, but Exalted Orbs are
Tienen
worth
el
so
mismo
much
drop
more in
rate.
trade because there's no easy vendor recipe for them, and because they're consumed when you craft certain meta mods onto items.
Vale.
Out
van
of
a
these
hacer
two
con ellos?
currency items, we would actually prefer the Divine Orb effect to be rarer, so that unique items with good rolls matter more, and so that players can exalt craft their items more frequently.
¿Cómo?
We are
Van,
making two changes that will
van a
impact
subir
this.
la rareza del
Firstly,
Divine
we are changing
y
the
van a
cost of crafting
bajarle
meta
la
mods
rareza
so
al
that they cost
Exalted. O sea,
Divine
más
Orbs rather
Exalted.
than Exalted Orbs.
Y los crafteos que antes eran
Secondly,
con
we
Exalted
are
ahora con
changing the
Mirror.
6-link vendor recipe to grant 20 orbs of fusing rather than a Divine Orb.
Hostia.
This change will result in Exalted Orbs being far more available for crafting, and Divine Orbs less available for
Hostia.
re-rolling mods on items. It'll
Hostia.
certainly be interesting to see
Esto
what the de
cambia el
facto
juego.
trade currency becomes next league.
Dime que se puede tradear.
Next, I'd like to talk about the Trickster Ascendancy
Han
class.
dicho que se puede tradear la
We haven't
currency,
been
¿no?
happy with the state of this Ascendancy class recently.
Espérate, el
While it
Trickster.
used
Ahora
to be
hablamos,
quite
ahora
powerful,
hablamos.
we moved its defining feature, Ghost Dance, onto the main passive skill tree. Since then, it has had a confused identity and hasn't met the power level of the other Ascendancy classes.
Vale, vamos a ver.
In
¿Qué
this
hace?
expansion, we have reworked
A
the
ver, a mí me
Trickster
gustaría
with a
que siguiese
focus on
siendo
establishing
híbrido entre vida y
thematically
Energy
appropriate
Seal.
defenses and ways to manipulate speed.
Qué rapidez,
One step
Fuah.
ahead allows the
Your
Trickster
action
to
speed is
manipulate
at
time
least
in an
108.
interesting way. Enemies are slower than normal and cannot have their action speed raised above this value, such as through an acceleration shrine.
Hostia, eso está guay.
Conversely, the trickster is faster by default and cannot have action speed lowered below this value.
Hostia, eso significa que no te pueden congelar ni ralentizar, ¿vale? Eso está fuerte. O sea, ni te pueden bajar el ataque speed, etc, etc. Te hace inmune a la parte negativa de temporal chain. Hostia. Spell suppression.
Spellbreaker grants some spell suppression chance, which is an effect that reduces damage taken from spells. The skill also starts your energy shield recharge half the time you suppress spells.
Vale, le van a hacer que gire alrededor del spell
Since trickster
suppression.
characters tend to have a high evasion rating, you will be
20 de
evading
spell
some hits
suppression
and
es
recharging
tocho.
on others, meaning that your energy shield recharge stays
Y
active
que te
most of the
prevenga
time.
un 10% más es tochísimo.
Spellbreaker also further improves defenses by
Hostia,
reducing
esto
the damage you take
defensivamente
from
es tocho.
suppressed
Vale,
spells while
ahora
on
dame
full
la
energy
chicha.
shield.
Dame la chicha, dame el daño. Dame el daño.
For those that want a different way to recover energy
2%
shield,
del
the
daño
powerful Soul Drinker notable passive is no
regenera como
longer
energy
exclusive
shield,
to
¿vale?
forbidden jewels from the Uber-searing Egg
Ataque y
target
cast
into
speed
a
cuando
world.
estás licheando energy
Any
shield.
trickster
Y
can now
energy
allocate
shield
this skill.
efecto no es removido cuando estás full. Hostia, vale.
Polymath
Eso es
provides more
bueno.
bonus damage, life, mana, and energy shield
Tres
on kill
more-
for each different type of mastery you have allocated.
3% de more damas por
It
cada
reinforces the idea of
maestría.
a trickster being a
Eso es
jack of all
tocho de
trades,
daño,
and will lead to
Eso es
interesting
muy tocho
decisions
en
when
daño.
planning your passive tree, trying to
Y
fit
luego
in as many different types
el
of
recovery
masteries
on
as
kill.
possible.
Eso es mucho daño. Eso es mucho daño.
Overall, the new
Muchísimo.
trickster is intended to be the Shadow's answer to the champion, but faster. He should be an exciting option for players who want to get a lot of evasion, energy
Mucho
shield,
daño
and
eso.
recovery out of their Ascendancy class
10
while still being
maestrías son
able to
un
melt
30%
enemies.
de more damas. Es mucho daño eso,
Alongside
No han
today's
enseñado
livestream,
las
we're
otras.
launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Knight and Rogue packs. Each tier
Tipo de
contains the
maestría,
pack's
da
full
igual.
face value and points,
Pero que
plus
se puede
several
escalar en
exclusive
muchos tipos de
microtransactions.
maestrías.
These
Vamos
packs
a
are
ver los
only
supporter
available
pack
during
para
the
la gente que
Kalandra
tenga
League and will be at the
dineros.
store forever in 3 months. Every microtransaction you are about to see is entirely cosmetic and does not affect your character's progression or power. The Knight Pack series contains 6 exclusive microtransactions, including the full Knightmaster armor set.
A ver,
The
bueno.
Etheric Mana Flask releases a burst of mana upon activation, then draws in energy from the environment as your mana refills.
Vale, el efecto es de
The
mana.
Hoarder's Stash is a stash skin
Y te
that
da
can
un
be used in
stash.
your hideout. As you place items in the stash, they hover above it
Ah.
until you're finished, before being sucked into
Ah.
storage.
Bueno, eso mola. Eso es bonito. Lo admito, eso es bonito.
This is the Knightmaster armor set. While wearing its helmet, your actions are periodically duplicated by an ethereal copy of yourself.
O sea, y el casco repite como... O sea, proyecta lo tuyo, lo que
The
hagas.
Blood Scouring Cloak absorbs blood as you slay monsters. It tracks your kill streak and cleans itself
Vale,
off when the
interacción
slaughter
con el
ends.
gameplay. Vale, me gusta. Hala, qué chulo. Qué
The Ring
chulo
of the
eso.
Victor causes a podium to rise up underneath you when you are standing still, elevating you above other players.
Vale. Eso me parece un poco menos, ¿no? Los portales están guapos.
The Warlord's Lieutenant Portal summons a warrior
Los portales
spirit who
están
will greet
guapos.
you, cheer you on, and commend you on your actions.
Buah, el portal está guapísimo. El portal está guapo. El portal está
The
guapo.
Rogue Pack series has 6 exclusive microtransactions, including the Rogue Stalker armor set.
Vale. Un perro.
The Beast of Burden Pit visually carries your items for you, becoming more laden with bags and packs the more full your inventory gets.
Vengo a tirarte el dinero de la suscripción.
Ah, me ha asustado. O sea, cuanto más ítems tengas en el inventario,
The Collector's
cambia su
Serpent
skin.
Shield covets the
Me he
treasure you find.
asustado.
Whenever you pick up an item, the serpent
Me he
darts out to grab it.
asustado. La madre que les parió. La
This is
gente
the
quiere
Rogue
lootear
Stalker
más
armor
fácil
set.
y te sacan
While wearing
skills
its
que
gloves,
tienen
critical
animaciones
strikes
cuando
cause
looteas.
blades to appear and
Son unos
slice your
hijos de
enemies.
la grandísima. Me parto los huevos, no puede ser de verdad.
The corpse bloom footprints cause exotic plant growth in your wake.
No puede ser
Plants
verdad.
especially
Pero
love
cómo
corpses and
son.
will seek them out and grow in larger patches around them.
No me gusta este nada. A lo de los pasos. Que sí, que los bichos que matas sueltan vegetación. Vale, ok, pero no me gusta. La verdad.
On the other hand, the Undertaker's amulet inters corpses for you, burying them and marking their location with gravestones.
Saca tumbas en los bichos que matas.
The Unstable Explosives back attachment is not for the faint of heart. As your life gets lower and lower, it gets closer and closer to exploding.
Esto es un efecto de cuando te mueres. Buah, esta skin para los de hardcore está guapísima.
As I mentioned before, these packs are exclusive to the Kalandra League and will leave the store in 3 months. They're available right now at pathofexile.com/purchase, and they directly fund the ongoing development of Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile 1 expansions like Lake of Kalandra. In addition, the supporter packs introduced with the Sentinel expansion are leaving the store forever in 1 week. Now's your last chance to purchase them, and we greatly appreciate your support.
Vale, voy a avisarle a los ganadores rápidamente a ver si
Speaking of things
quieren
leaving the store,
comprarse.
the Kerrick's Vault Pass for Sentinel is only available for the next few days also, and will leave the store forever when the league ends. There's no penalty for purchasing the pass late in the league after you've wrapped up your map completion, so if you're pleased with where you got to in maps and Sentinel and want to lock in your unique skins, it's not too late to buy your pass.
¿He visto una skin del Energy Shield?
Next up, we've got the Q&A with Ziggy D. Once that ends, we'll post the full patch notes for Lake of Kalandra.
Vale,
Over
después
the
de lo
next
de
week,
Ziggy
our
D
community
soltarán
team will
las notas
post
del
teasers
parche.
for new and revamped unique items, upcoming quality of life improvements, and an announcement for the League launch race event. On launch weekend, we'll be running another set of Twitch drops,
Van a
and
contar las
expect to
notas del
release the new
parche,
mystery box and Kerrick's Vault
cosas,
Pass in the
cambios en
days
la
after
quality
launch.
of life. Y bueno, lo típico, ¿no?
Thanks for joining us and checking out today's reveals. We can't wait to see you in Ray Class on August 19th.
Bueno, antes de
We'll begin
terminar,
the
porque
Q&A
esto
in a
también
few
lo voy a
moments,
subir a
so
YouTube.
please get your questions ready in chat.
Corta el sonido ya. A ver, lo que más me ha gustado ha sido la liga, la verdad. Lo de la liga y el cambio al Atlas. Lo del cambio al Atlas está guapísimo. Que puedas, más formas de potenciar una sola mecánica, me gusta. El Rework Harvest, ay Dios mío, el Rework Harvest es precioso. Para la gente que craftea, es maravilloso. Eso es precioso. El cambio a Harvest, la verdad. Voy a ser Harvest Main y demás. Entonces, eso me ha gustado mucho. ¿Qué es lo que no me ha gustado? No me ha gustado el cambio. Ah, no, lo de Scouts también me ha gustado, perdón. Lo de Scouts fusionado con Beyond mola. Básicamente como que nos traemos el Beyond y o sea, como era Scouts, pero dentro del propio juego. Lo que no me ha gustado, Arch Nemesis. Vale. ¿Lo monto yo, el Change Ors, o lo montáis vosotros? De que lo manden a tomar por saco. No sé, pero yo voy a seguir huyendo de los bichos raros y que les den por saco. No me gusta estar 5 minutos pegándome con un rare. Yo lo siento. Si a alguien le gusta, me parece bien, pero a mí no me gusta. Me gusta la adrenalina y la velocidad en Path of Exile. Y quedarme parado pegando a un bicho no me gusta. Así que bueno, ahí queda la cosa. Y en general, pues ya os digo, en plan, la mecánica me parece súper bonita, súper guay. Que encima puedas afectarla por el resto de cosas del Atlas. Está muy guay. O sea, en plan, si tú potencias Bridge, lo de Kalandra va a tener Bridge. Y no sé si es tradeable, supongo que lo confirmarán. Y tal. Luego, el rework del Trickster me ha gustado. La verdad, creo que el Trickster tiene más 2 Frenzy Charges de ascendencia el Trickster. Hostia, pues bien, mejor. Yo creo que el Trickster me ha gustado como ha quedado. Creo que ha cogido fuerza. Y bueno, el tema de los únicos nuevos hace falta verlos y tal. La tábula nueva está guay, sobre todo con el nuevo bastón este 9L, que ya no hace falta ir con un 6L para levear, puede estar chulo. Así que bueno, en general esas son mis primeras impresiones. Vamos a desmenuzarlo todo y a lo largo de los próximos días subiremos un vídeo pues hablando de qué nos parece con más profundidad. Así que muchas gracias por el vídeo, deja un comentario, dale like y nos vemos en el directo.